Okay, this is the 24th and final screencast of the RCS PTM1 Term 3 Introduction to Vectorworks course. We looked in the last screencast at a set of treads and how to build a set of treads essentially in a simple 3D model, and then look at that set of treads from different angles through viewports onto the sheet layer. So that's fine. There's only one more step to go, and that is what happens when you have multiple objects that you need to separate out. So I've already made this thing. It doesn't really matter what it is. It's just a series of 3D shapes, and I've already classed them as middle. So I can just go to active only, and we can see the base top slope thing. And I actually haven't classed that yet, so that should be, we'll just change that to middle. So I have the middle bit, the base, and the toppy slope thing. Okay, and put them, show snap, modify others all back on again. So what I've already done is create a sheet layer. We can go to Tools Organization and pull up this organizational tool palette, or just click either the layers or classes here. I tend to do this by default as a habit, but it's quite easy to go to Tools Organization and it'll open up the same thing. So we have design layers there, so I've separated each component out into its own thing. In the sheet layer, I've already created an A4 sheet layer there with a border, just to save a little bit of time. So the first thing I need to do is to create the viewport, and I'm going to uncheck these two boxes. I don't want those little tags with the scale and the name and all that on each one of the viewports. I'm going to have in the region of 12, 13 viewports on screen, so I don't really want all these on it at the moment. I'm going to leave. I've got a chance to say whether I want to see each class here, so I'm going to leave all the all the layers visible, and I only have dimension and none class, so that's fine. Scale, I'm going to put, say 1 to 20, no, I'm going to leave it 1 to 50, because it's going to get busy on my A4 piece of paper. In reality, we don't really use A4 very much. We're talking about A0 and A1 kind of thing, but this is just to allow you to send me the PDF in a reasonable size, and gets you used to working in tight spaces as well. I'm going to leave rendering as OpenGL, which is what this is at the moment, and OK. And that's going to plonk my 3D I'm going to put that right in the center of the page. I'm not going to bother updating it at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have each component here in a plan, an elevation, and a side, and then I'm going to dimension everything. I probably will just cut to that rather than doing it all live showing you. So we'll go back to the let's take the base here, top plan. So I only want to see the base unit. I only want to see the circle with the hole in it here. So if I do view, create viewport. The viewport name will be plan base. I'm not really fussed about filling out these. You can fill out these drawing titles and things like that if you want. What I just want to show you at the moment is if I just send that to the sheet layer, it's showing me all of the objects. I don't want to see all of the objects, I only want to see the base. So then I'm going to use my layers here in the object info palette to turn off the middle, turn off the top slope thing, and turn off the design layer. So they're all still there, I'm just turning them off and making them invisible. So that would be my top plan. I'll duplicate that and change the view from top plan to front, and I can place that down below it there. Okay, and I'm not going to do a side elevation because it's a circle. If I duplicate that again, so I'm using Command D, I think Control D will work on the PC, and this time So rather than the base unit, I'm going to go over here, and in the layers, I'm going to choose turn off the base and choose the middle. So that's the middle plan there. We'll just line all this up nice and neatly. Duplicate again, and instead of seeing the top plan, I'm going to see the front. Okay, and there's the front lined up, the edge of that should be there. And if I want to do a duplicate and do a right, again, these are symmetrical objects, so it's less useful doing the, there we go, that's the, and then lastly, I can copy any of these over. I'm only duplicating, sorry, the viewport, the idea of a viewport rather than the contents of it, because I'm changing what's visible each time. So there's the top slope thing this time visible, and we'll duplicate that and change that to front, which this one will need a right isometric front there, and then we're going to duplicate that and change that to right. Okay, and the layout's very important here. This idea of the plan above the front elevation and then the right and left. We looked at that earlier on in a previous tutorial, so they're quite important. I think I might do hidden line renders on these because they're going to get quite complicated. So within this one here, rather than wireframe, I'm going to change to dashed hidden line, and this one as well, I'm going to change to dashed hidden line. So I need to update these 3 viewports, so I can just do view, update all viewports. And again, this is only fuzzy because I have a relatively low, let's put that to 300, relatively low DPI on the, we'll just update that again, update all viewports, should be nice and crisp now. There we go, hidden line, render, dashed hidden line, it's not showing for some reason. Might be that the dashes are too small. I'll have a look at that later. So we have it's really important that I made my object in 3D and then I have separated it out. So this is all just looking at exactly the same 3D object. Like I say, all this is, it's looking down on the object, but all we've done is we've hidden the bits that we don't want to see. We haven't moved them, we haven't changed them at all. I will pause this for a second and dimension everything, then carry on. Okay, so I've dimensioned all the individual objects fairly simply. The one thing I want you to check before you send them to me, which is the classic mistake that everybody makes when they start dimensioning things in viewports, is that you need to grab each of your viewports and check that the dimensions associated with them are attached to them. Again, I mentioned this in a previous screencast. We don't want to be clicking this viewport here and discover that this viewport has been dimensioned. The only dimensions or annotations that should be within the viewports are the ones associated with that viewport. It's one of the things I check whenever people send me their Vectorworks. All you need to do is go over each viewport here, click on it, and see that the dimensions are in place. It wouldn't be the first time, again I mentioned this before, that you click on a viewport and someone's got carried away, and it's dead simple to see. So you see what happens here when I click on this viewport, something is wrong. I can see it a mile away, and all I need to do is move it and see that that dimension is associated with that viewport, which is wrong. So the little demo of what not to do, double click on that again, annotations, get rid of the one that shouldn't be in that viewport, and we're back. So that's all I do when I get these files. There will be, this is the last task, so I want you to recreate this this sheet layer with these viewports separated out, or something similar. You don't have to worry about it being exactly the same as this, but I want a kind of a circular object here. We'll have a look and see back in the design layer again. So we've got a kind of a circular object there, active only, OpenGL, a circular object there with a hole in it. We have got a thing that slots into the middle, and a kind of a slopey thing, which was the result of the one of the previous screencasts. So just make something similar to that, and the important thing is to separate things out in the sheet layer. Once you've sent me this, the last thing to do will be a kind of an assessment one, which I'll provide the PDF somewhere later in the term for you to complete and send me the Vectorworks file, because I want to see the Vectorworks file of your final assessment. So this is just, when you complete this one, send me the PDF. So again, file, once you're in the sheet layer, file, export PDF there, and then send me that PDF. So like I say, the final assessment one will be, I want to see the Vectorworks file so that I can check things like your how you've used your layers, make sure everything's layered correctly, make sure that the dimensions are associated with the viewports. Happy with that? I shall look forward to getting an inbox full of PDFs. If you want to do more of these for practice before the exam, which will be, again, late term, there's a few others from previous first year exams on Portal. You should know where to find that. I'll explain that in the module briefing on Monday the 13th of April. Again, make sure you fill out the title block with your name, and especially the scale and the date. The scale is critically important. Okay, enjoy.